I'm finding the Zach. Chavura. So tonight's Chavura is sponsored by Sid and Sandy Goldschmidt. Yeshakayach in honor of the yahrzeit of Sid, his mother. Tzviya Bas Avram Matisyo. These words of the Torah should be a source for Aliyas Nishmasa. So last time we were introduced a new Gemara. At the beginning of Chav Hamad Aleph, we're going to talk about Chav Hamad Beis, which I think I made a mistake. We're really on Chav Hamad Beis. But the Gemara says Mafricha Yoinim. So if you remember the bottom of Chav Hamad Aleph, the Gemara introduced what is Mafricha Yoinim that's Pasal Eidus Midrabanan. What is the case? So the Gemara says My Mafricha Yoinim. So the Gemara had two options. Hachat Tergma Itakdime Yoinech Liyoin. Horse races, yoina races, pigeon races. So a person who bets on pigeon races. Reb Chama bar Oshia Omer Ara. Reb Chama bar Oshia says, no, it's Ara. What's Ara? So Rashi says, Milumad lahavi yoinim imkamin lebeis bailam al karch b'yesh b'hem gezel. He teaches, by doing something, he tricks the birds to leave the house of where they're staying and comes to his house, and it's ke'ena gezel. Obviously not. He's not taking a biyadayim, so therefore it's not pasal min ha'Torah, and it's not gezel mamish, but it's ke'ena gezel. So the Gemara wanted to know why each one doesn't hold of each other. Gemara says, Manda Omar itachdin mechliyon, the one who holds it's pigeon races. My time aloma arla. Omar lecha ara mepnei darkei shalom ba'alma. No, ara is just darkei shalom, so you're not going to be pasal la'edis. Umanda Omar ara my time aloi Omar itachdin mechliyon echliyon. He says, what do you mean? Races? That's no different than betting on gambling, that it's Mesachik B'Kuvya. Then the Gemara goes on to say, it's like a good kasha, so why do you need a repetition? If it's Mesachik B'Kuvya, you already have Mesachik B'Kuvya. So the Gemara goes on to say, no, there's one that's Talib Das Atzmo, and one that's totally on the Das of the Yono, and it's not, I wouldn't know intuitively one from the other, and that's what I pointed out, that this Talib Das Atzmo sounds to be that if it's in your control and it's totally on your das, it's more asmachtadik, which would be a riot to the Rishonim, like Rashi, that said that what's more in your control would be more asmachta, when a person thinks that he has the bailus and he has the ability to control the outcome, that would be more of an asmachta situation, that he doesn't have smichas das. So now let's go to the Amud Beis. So the Gemara says on Amud Beis, Meisvei, Hamesachik B'Kuvya, they play with these broken pieces of wood. And not only that, even if they play with shells of nuts, and also shells of pomegranates. So how do they do tshuva? How could they regain their status to be kosher and to be made again? Mishishabru espispaseian, when they break their dice, when they break their wooden chips, and they show that they're serious, and I'm not going back to these games anymore. V'yachzeruba and chazar gemura da'afilu bechinem lo'avdu, and they do a chazar gemura that what? That even for free, I don't play anymore. I'm totally out, like a real person that's changing his lifestyle, that I don't play this game at all, because I'm not even going to get enticed, even if there's no money involved. Nova berivis, echad amal v'echad aloive, ve'emasei chazarasan. So if you lent beribis, how do you regain your status to be kosher leidus? Rabbi say, this is in Yana Diyoima. This is important halachas. How does a person who didn't know about the Issa ribis, or didn't realize what he was doing was ribis, that he regains his status, or didn't realize who was on his mortgage? Like we've spoken about, unfortunately. Emasei chazarasan, mishikaru eshtarehen. So the way you're chayzer is what? You rip up the shtar, v'yachzeru bahen chazara gemura. And then it's not enough to just rip up the shtar, but you have to do full-fledged tshuva. What's full-fledged tshuva? Afilu lenachri leimosvi. He doesn't even what? Lend to a guy. So now, the Rishonim here point out that lending to a guy is mutter, right? So, okay, you're right. This mutter is also This wouldn't invalidate a person, but now you have to go the extra mile. Like the Rambam says, when you're trying to change a midah, the Rambam in Hilchos Deis says when you're trying to change a midah, it's not enough to just fix the midah. You have to go min hakotza hasheni in order to come back. You know, when you want to come back to the middle, you got to go to the opposite side, and then eventually you'll get somewhere in the middle. The Rambam in Hilchos Deis says. So too over here, even if a person, even though it's mutter, so that's part of the tshuva process to do something to go the extra mile. What's a chiddush is the Rambam. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Ribbis that it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah. It's what to talk about this Rambam. It's a mitzvah to lend a goy beribis, not just a heter. Most Rishonim understand that it's just a heter, but the Rambam holds it's a mitzvah. So according to the Rambam, you have something fascinating over here. Chazal, in order to enact the tshuva process, actually were oiker a mitzvah. They said, don't be involved in this mitzvah anymore, and in order for you to rectify your anhagas, we want you to take leave of that mitzvah. How did Chazal have the ability to do that? So the answer is because Chazal are not eradicating the mitzvah in totality. Avada, there's a mitzvah in the Torah, and for everyone else that doesn't have an issue with Chazar, with lending beribis, and didn't do it with a Jew, so they have this mitzvah, right? Like the Taz says, you're not allowed to, Chazal can't be oiker a davar mafurish b'kra. So they're not doing that here. Here it's a specific case that they're being oiker, and therefore that would be involved in the ribis. So what does it mean? Yeah.
What's the Tal mitzvah
For the Rambam Shita. So l'chayra, the Rambam Shita is because you're distinguishing the approach towards a Jew and an approach towards a guy. So the fact that I'm highlighting the chesed that I do for a guy, and therefore by doing it, by having a different approach towards goyim is highlighting that concept. When we say that you should rip up a shtar, so what does that mean? So does that mean I should rip up the shtar of the ribis, or does it mean the whole thing? The Ran says you should rip up the whole thing. Why? What was wrong with the Karen? The halva was mutter. The ribis is what I should rip up. How much he owes me in the ribis. So you'll tell me, who cares? Just rip up the shtar, and then you'll just be going with the Karen. No, you can't say who cares. Rabbi say in halacha there's a big difference between having a milva b'shtar and a milva al peh. If I don't have a shtar, so then I have to rely on edim. And it's not so simple, and I can't be goyve from later purchases. Let's say he owes me money, and then he sold his field. So if I have a shtar, I can be goyve from the hey, sorry, you bought when he owed me money. That's not now I can be goyve from those people. I can't do that if I don't have a shtar. So the Ran apparently understands that's part of the punishment. Not only do you lose the mila of a shtar, legabe the ribis, you lose the mila of a shtar, legabe the karen. Other Rishonim don't agree with the Ran. Other Rishonim say, no, we rip up the shtar, legabe, what's not allowed, what was a prohibition, what was a ribis, but in terms of the atzam chov, so that would be mutter, yeah. Oh, so Jerome is asking a bam kasha, toisis and babakamas kasha, daf chav testament base. Ask Jerome, how could it be? The shtar is against halacha. Why is the shtar against halacha? Because it's ribis. But I'll tell you the lumdus of what Jerome's asking. There's no edim on the shtar. Because the edim were made on a shtar that has ribis. So there's no chov over here. So what do you say, Rabbi say?
Can you see if I can wear on a shtar?
No. Oh, good, Mark. So what do we say? So Mark saying the K'tay Sachoshin. K'tay Sachoshin says, no, this is a Gemara. The Gemara says, Machlokes Chacham and Rabbi Meir. You have a milve beribis. So the Gemara says, Chachamim say, Goyves HaKaren. Rabbi Meir says, Eino Goyves HaKaren. So we pass like Chacham, Goyves HaKaren. And that's the implication of this Gemara also. The Gemara was never saying that the shtar is no good. Fakert. The Gemara is saying the shtar is good. And what? Rip up the shtar. So now we're asking the kasha, why is the shtar good? Fraktoisa kasha, it's an Isser Daraisa. You're pasala edis if you're made on the shtar sheyesh baribis. So one answer we said is, no, you're not. It's an Isser Daraisa to be made on a shtar sheyesh baribis, but you don't become pasala edis. You can pasala edis from lending. But in order just to be a witness, a passive witness on a shtar sheyesh baribis, you don't become pasul. So that's one day in Taisus that answers that kasha. Mark's saying a different pshat. Mark's saying a pshat that the K'tzais HaChoshen, a fancy pshat. If you remember, I quoted from the Nimukei Yosef. The Nimukei Yosef asked the Kash, the Rishonim asked in Gemara and Chulun Daf Yudalad and Alf. Gemara and Chulun Daf Yudalad and Alf says, Asheiche b'Shabbos shchitas k'sheir. Gemara says, if you shecht on Shabbos, the shchitas k'sheir. Frek Toisvis there in Chulun on Daf Yudalad and Beis, how could it be? You should be a mummer l'chal Shabbos b'far Hesia, a mummer l'chal Shabbos b'far Hesia, one who desecrates Shabbos in public. Person drives a car on Shabbos in public. He's a mummer. He's dino ka'akum. So if he's dina ka'akim, his shchita is goyish shchita is no good. So then how's that? So for Acts 3 Rishonim, so Tosfos answers it's only after 3 times. The Ran gives a different teretz. The Ran says that no, once the shchita is finished, that's when he gets his shame sul. But in the shas shchita, it was still not a shchita. It was, the Ran says, it was mekalkel until I finish the shchita. Only once I actually do something productive, that it's a shchita so kshera, then I get the slapped on. You did something productive on Shabbos, you're machal Shabbos. Now you did some leches machsheves, now you got a chilul Shabbos. So when do you come pasul edis? Only once the ma'aseh shchita is done. Says the K'tzais, maybe you could apply that same lumdis, legabe the edis for ribbis. Really, a person who's made on a shtar sheish for ribbis does become pasul. Not only the malv and the leiva, even the edim. If you remember, we had two girsos on the Gemara and Chaf Heyamad Aleph, whether or not you're gurist, only the malv and the leiva become basal edis, or anyone involved in the shtar sheish bo ribis. The sofer, the edim, they all become basal. The whole shebang becomes basal. Anyone who's involved in the ribis. So if so why? How could you ever have a shtar sheish bo ribis that's going to be kosher that we're talking about over here that you could rip up, that you would need to re-rip up? It's we're penalizing you, and it's not kosher to begin with. Says the K'tzais, no, perhaps only once you were made, only once the shtar becomes effective, so then you get your shem psul for other shtaros, for other purposes. And then the other day is what? Tosfos has a second day, and some of the Rishonim have this like a second day. No, it's talking about a situation where the Eidim were what? They were anusim. They were forced. The mafia was going to kill them. If they weren't going to be made on this, they were done. So therefore, they're not puzzled. Why? Because they could say he was going to go after my family. So I was anusim. So legabe they're psul, they're not puzzled. Legabe the edus, so then it's good edus. So im kain Rabbi say, let's just realize this. If that's the case, Rabbi say, you have to add a whole story to our Gemara. Again, the Gemara says, what's the din? The din is you have to rip up the shtar. How's the shtar kosher? The shtar is puzzle. So according to some days, no, it's never puzzle, so it's no problem. According to the other days in the Rishonim, half the Rishonim, what do you have to add into our Gemara? And by the way, there was a guy with a gun who was sticking his gun to the head of the Eidim, and that's why the shtar in the first place got off the ground. So that's a machlekes Rishonim. How to make sense of our Gemara that you have a shtar sheish baribis. But even once you make sense of the Gemara and you have some way a shtar kosher, either by saying that the Eidim are never puzzle, or by saying that it was a situation of anus, so now we have a question, when they want to be chayzer, how are they chayzer? Do you have to rip it up legabe the keren, or do you only have to rip it up legabe the ribis? Yeah.
The Eidim obviously have to know who signed it. Do they have to know what's
The Eidim are the ones who sign it.
No, who are the parties of the contract?
Yeah.
Do they have to know what's in the contract?
Yeah. We learned the Gemara. We learned the Gemara in the beginning of the parak that an aid has to not only know who he's signing, he has to be aware what he's signing. It's something that's important before a person's Masada Kedushin. The chassan should actually know what that he actually has some achrayis to his wife. Probably would help, No, but the chassan's also being mischayev in terms of the shtar. Everyone should be involved in the shtar. The Eidim should also read over the shtar before they write it. That's the appropriate thing. You shouldn't sign anything before you know what you're signing.
If we're on parallel that Ron, shouldn't it be that only once money changes hands, then that's when it's like the shechita? Until then, it's all machshava, it's all thought. But until the money is actually given and collected, the ribis, it's the same exact thing as having the thought to chef,
So you want to know, does a shtar sheish baribis, is the isser to lend it? What if there's no mesiras mos?
Right.
That's a suffix in the Mishnah Melech. Suffix in the Mishnah Melech is whether or not the isser is to create the arrangement, or it's only once there's mesiras mos. That's when the lavim are transgressed. So right. So you'd have to say, according to both stadim in the Mishnah Melech, if you hold
fulfilled and it's Misot Ma'ot, there's no,
It's not there.
Right. Until then, there was nothing that was shaf. The Amos Chazarasan. So you could also you could have another eitzah. Meaning, according to the Mishnah Malach, it's till Mesiris Mos, so no one becomes puzzle, so the Eidim are totally fine from before. And so that would be another eitzah for our Gemara. Good. Fine.
Maybe you could say the other Rishon hold like that instead of having to answer the whole story.
Right. The problem is Taisus doesn't say like that. From the fact that Taisus doesn't say like that, it sounds like. Well, no, you can't answer like that because, again, the Gemara says Chachamim hold goyves hakeren. Shtar sheish barib is goyves hakeren. That's the Gemara Baba Kama, right? So Taisus asks the kasha Baba Kama, what do you mean goyves hakeren? There's no edim. How do you use the shtar? So Taisus has to answer either the edim are not puzzle or no, the edim were anusim, right? So because the Gemara is assuming that the shtar is going to work even post facto, even once the halva is going to go into effect. So the Gemara wasn't saying you can use the shtar temporarily. The Gemara is saying it's a valid shtar. Goyves hakeren. You're good. So the kasha is why goyves hakeren? It's a shtar she'ein bo edim. It should be invalid because the edim are psulim. So, because the Gemara is implying that this shtar will be good post facto, even assuming that the edim are going to be made. So that teretz, that wouldn't be machshir the edim.
But even after the Mesiris Mos, that original shtar
Is kosher. That's what Taisus is saying.
But it should be, because the edim are just like the edim are apostle till after they sign, and the shtar is forever kosher.
According to the Ran.
Yes.
The edim aren't puzzle until afterwards, right?
So even if you want to just extend that, and they're not puzzle until after the Mesiris.
Right. I'm just saying the Mishnah Melech alone wouldn't help. Just to say that, you're only the Isser is only violated once there's Mesiris Mos, that wouldn't help. Right. You would have to apply the Ran, right?
How would you ever have that other opinion then?
Who?
The Mishnah. How can you say that?
How can the
say that
Mishnah?
That's not what the Gemara is applying.
The Gemara is just talking about the Edim. The Rishonim are just talking about why aren't the Edim Surah? The Torah tells us, the Gemara tells us in Bamitzia.
According to the other top, the edim wouldn't be puzzle until it happens because. the
Right,
shtar is good.
correct. And yet the Gemara says, Goyves HaKeren, that the shtar is kosher.
Yeah, right. So how would
So that's what all the Rishonim are answering. Either Anusim, or Edim never become puzzle, or the Ran says you only become puzzle after, for another case. Not from this. Fine, let's go weiter. Umafricha yoinim elu shemamarin es hayoinim. So the Gemara, this brisa, that's why this brisa is being quoted, because the context we started off was what's the translation of mafricha yoinim. So these are mamarin es hayoinim. What's mamarin? Mamarin comes from mamrim. They get him upset. They make them rebel. Rashi says margizin oisam zel hilachem. He ticks them off. He gets them upset with each other. V'lo yoinim bilvad amru. And it's not just yoinim, but it's even a behema, a chaya, and oif. It's all types of animals. Ve'ema say chazarasan, and when is chazara? Mishishabru es pigmehen, v'yachzuru b'hem chazmar guru. When you break your vessels that are doing this, that are catching the attention and causing the animals to get aggravated, v'yachzuru chazara gemura. And what's the chazara gemura? Da'afilu ba'midbar. That even in the what? Even in the desert, I'm not going to be involved in this. Nami lo avde, nami lo avde, namle lo avde. Nami lo avde. So what's the Gemara's kasha? The Gemara is saying it's ara. Right. So how do you? One second. Well, the Gemara is going to say the kasha is that. So the Gemara is saying that it's not just. I'm sorry. The Gemara is going to say we didn't finish the brisa. Mishishabru es pigmeim. Right. Rashi says that this lashon is going according to Ara. Mishishabru es pigmeim. V'yachzeru behen chazara gemura. Da'afilu b'midbar nami loy avde. So the Gemara says, fine. What's the next category? Let's. What? What's tzar b'lechaim? It could be tzar b'lechaim. Yeah, that's not. So yeah, so it could be over that is also right. Unless you say that it's L'tzairich. I get ano out of this. Tzar b'lichayim l'tzairich is a big machlokes rishonim. Taisus and Bamitzia says that tzar b'lichayim l'tzairich is mutter. So I think we paskin like that. Mechas thinks we paskin like that. So the Gemara says. So Gemara says, what's the next category? So let's just finish the Gemara, the Brisa. Soichre Shvius. People who do business during Shvius. What do you say? This is important. Person who's selling Perish Shvius. It's become puzzle or La'edis. And when is their tshuva? When Shemitah comes again and they don't do this. So the Mefarshim point out that it's not a person who's has a market, a supermarket, and he keeps it open, and then he keeps it open also during Shemitah. That's not what it's referring to. It's talking about Soichrei Shvius. What that means is that, no, I'm a guy, I open my store, Shemitah. Soichrei Shvius. That's the Rishonim right, that's what's going on over here. You don't really have those people that dafka open up for that. So, those that think that it's just, Heter Mechira, you see, your Apostle Eidis, that's not what the Gemara is referring to. Fine. Ketzad, so how is he chayzer? Oimer ani ploini bar ploini, I am this person, kinasti masayim zuz beper shvius, I made this amount with fruits of shvius, and I'm giving them to tzedakah. So the Gemara asked the kasha. This was a long brisa to ask the following kasha. Ktani mias, you see that it says what? Behema, that it's talking about behema. This is what Mark said before. If you understand mafricha yoinim as what? Races. What? Oh, really? So if it's races, so then what? That's how I can understand it includes other behema. But if I know talking about behema, elmandamar ara, but if you understand what? It's just stealing. Behemas bashachi. Birds follow you when you clap things, but animals aren't following you. So the Gemara says no. Elamanda Amar Arab Behema bashachi. So the Gemara says there's a type of animal b'shor habar. There's a type of animal, fascinating Gemara. By say, listen, look at Rashi. What's a shor habar? Doime lechaya. And if he brings it up, it's like a wild animal, but if he brings it up in his house, he goes into the midbar. And he convinces all the other wild animals to follow after him. I don't know what this is. And and you what? Yeah, exactly. Now you're going to steal other people's animals through this shorabar. So there's a machlokes in chulin, this type of animal. We don't know what it is. The Gemara says nafkamina. Is it chayiv and kisi adam? Is it a chay or a behema? So the Gemara says the reason why we called it a behema because we're like that day in chulin that says that it's not chayiv and kisi adam, like the din of a behema. Fine. So the Gemara says as follows. So the Gemara says, so that's the brisa. So just before we end the brisa, everybody say, the Ran makes a fascinating R. Let's go back to the beginning of the Gemara. So we had legabe the misachik bekuvya, emasai chazarasan. So the Gemara says when you break your wood pieces, right? When you break what you play it. And that now you're not even playing afilu bechina. So ask the Ran, the boy say, why is Mesachik B'Kuvya possible? Machlokes in the Gemara. Machlokes Rav Sheshes, Machlokes Rabbi Baruch Ham. Right? Either it's because of Asmachta Lokanya, it's Gezel, or it's because of what? Ein Lem Isuka Yeshuva Shalom. Now, if I'm telling you, you want to do real tshuva, so what are you going to do? You're going to play for free. You're not going to play for free. Ask the Ran, who does that sound like? Which holds what? I don't even remember. No. Asmachta. It's possible because you're being guzzler's money. So the Gemara says, no, now you're going to not even play for free. But if it's what? It's Eini Sukkah B'Yeshuva Shalayla, I'm playing. I'm still not handling in the Welt. I'm addicted to this game. I can't stop playing. So the Ran says, it's a Pella, this Brisa. Who do we paskin like, Rabbi say? Ask the Ran. Who do we paskin like? Which holds what?
That's not.
No.
No.
No. Who do we paskin like? We paskin any sikul b'yeshuv shalom. We paskin that a mesachim b'kuvya, if he has another job, is kasher leidus. So everybody said we have a brisa that's going shalom hilchasa. Frek the Ran, now it's shver. Everyone hear the kasha? Again, the Gemara says, how does a mesachim b'kuvya come back to do tshuva? How does the Gemara say, how do you come back to do tshuva? Gemara says you don't even play b'chinam. So Gemara says you don't even play b'chinam.
What does that mean? It means you play for free?
Means you won't even play for free. Means they ask you, they call you, they say, could you play with us? And I say, no, I can't. No, we're not playing for money.
Charity tournament.
You're still not allowed. You're still not charity tournament. You're still not allowed to.
Which would have been mutter.
Yeah, which would have been mutter. Which would have been mutter.
I mean, it's just like playing a game.
Yeah,
No implication that
Yeah,
you're not,
yeah.
you should have showed.
yeah. So the Ran says, when does that actually demonstrate something? When the whole issue was what in the first place? That you were stealing money. So now I'm saying you're going to the nth degree that what? Now I'm not even going to play b'chinam. So it's so far away from the issue. But if the issue was Einu Sikul B'Yeshuv Shalom, it had nothing to do with money. It was because I'm not part of this world. So I'm still not part of this world. I'm giving into my addiction. So the Ran says the Gemara is going Shalom Libdilchus because we paskin. It's not because of a smachta lokanya. It's because of what? It's because of Einu Sikul B'Yeshuv Shalom.
That makes it sound like any Sukkah B'Yeshuv Shalom would apply to not gambling. It would just apply to someone who's a game player. It has nothing to do with the money. That
Right.
someone just plays games all day. It doesn't matter whether it's for money or not in the first place.
Right.
That.
That's the Ran's kasha. That's what he wants to say. Right.
That's the kasha.
Right. Correct. So says the Ran, a sharp point. He says, exactly. That's exactly what the Ran says. No, Jerome, listen to what the Ran says. He says, Elamai, this Gemara is not only going to Mesavach B'Kuvya. Because if he's what? If he's playing B'chinam, so how did he eat breakfast? How did he eat lunch? How did he eat dinner? It must be he has a what? It must be he has a job. Because otherwise, how is he eating? So the chiddush of afilu b'chinam is a raya that this guy has a job. That's what the Ran says. It's a raya that he has a job. And therefore it works even according to my Einu Sikul B'Yeshuv Shalom. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what I thought when I saw this Ran. Exactly. I'm not sure this is Nagei L'Maisa. But yeah, exactly. But at least there was a door that was applicable. So that's what the Ran says. What? Yeah, exactly. So that's what the Ran says. By the way, everybody said the Rosh talks about what about the basic Emasai Chazarasan, right? So what does the Gemara say? That he doesn't play even B'chinam. What about the fact that what? The Shulchan Aruch writes, right? The Shulchan Aruch, if you look at the Shulchan Aruch, you look at the Rambam writes the following. The Rambam says, anyone who violated a lav sheyesh b'malchus, so once he gets malchus, this is fascinating actually. Once he gets malchus, he's kosher le'edus. Why? So that, and then the Ran says, and what about all these other psulim? Like gezel, chama, all these other money-related isurim. So then the Rambam says they have to do this extended tshuva process, which is our Gemara is discussing. So now, the Radvaz asked the question, why is that? Why do you have this distinction? Why is it that when it comes to a lav sheyesh b'malchus, I don't really even have to be such a bal tshuva. But the second I get the oynesh, I'm good. Mashenkin over here, there's like stages, there's steps. I have to. So the Radvaz says a very simple aura, which is a fascinating aura. The Radvaz says it's very simple. By the case of malchus, you're rala shamayim. So the second you get punished from Shemayim, v'nikla achicha leinecha, kevin shenikla achicha hi. Comes back to his status. He comes back to who he was. But if you're rala brios, if you're mechusser and you're bein adam lachavero, it's not sufficient for you to just get punished. You have to demonstrate that you're actually going to be good to other people. You have to do something additional, and it's not sufficient just to get an einish. So now I ask you a kasha. So what's the din about a mesacheh b'kuvya? What's the din? Does he have to give back the money or not? Halacha l'maisa, everybody say. Halacha l'maisa, does he have to give back the money or not? The Ramah writes that he has to give back the money, that it's not sufficient just to stop playing, like the Gemara says. The Ramah quotes the Rosh, and he says, no, you have to also give back the money. So many of the Nosei Kelim, they've only go and says, it's not true. What the Ramah says is not true, la halacha. That's only if you paskin a smachta. Because it's a gezel, so then I have to give back the money. But the Goin says exactly what Mark says. The Goin says that if you hold a smachta kanya, we hold what? We hold that the real psul is because of Eini Sikko B'Yeshuva Shalayla. So you don't really have gezel in your hands. So Memela, to become kosher, it's enough what? Just to show that I'm not addicted anymore. Just to show that I'm not playing anymore. This is halacha l'maisa. Everybody say, because if you remember, the Svardim, the Goyin holds, the Svardim holds in Dasa Rambam, right? Remember? The Svardim hold that what? According to the Goyin, it might be a smachta, according to Shitas Rambam. So be an afkamino also had to become kosher again. Do you have to go back into your funds and give back the money? So according to the Goyin, that would be necessary if you learn Shitas Rambam is all asmachta. That's a question within a question. Even according to the Rambam who holds it's usser, not everyone agreed to the Goyin that it was because he's paskening asmachta lokanya. It could be that it was usser even though he's paskening Eini Sikko B'Yeshuva Shalom. There's still an isser to gamble even though you're paskening asmachta kanya. But according to the Goyin who's saying no, it's because of asmachta lo kanya. So now you actually have to give back the money that you got from the gambling, and it's not so simpler. So people think, according to Sfardim, maybe the shaila is just, can I gamble, can I not gamble? No. Now the shaila is even post facto. You want to get your status back? Not so simple. It might be a machlekes haposkim if you might be mechuyev to actually give back the money. What was pshat in the Rambam that's being machmir? Is it because he's paskening a smachta lokanya, or is it because he's paskening that even though a smachta kanya and Eini Sikko B'Yeshuva Shalom, I still hold it's usher to gamble.
It makes sense for the Rambam to say not smachta lokanya. It's basically applying what he would do by tshuva. You know, there's Yosachet and all else. The part to give back the money would all.
Well, that's because of that's in terms of the true. If it's gezel, that's not necessarily it's an open question whether or not you hold it to smachta kanya or lo kanya. That's an independent question. Once you're assuming a smachta lo kanya, then to hold that this is part of the tshuva process for sure.
I'm saying you can't hold it to gezel if you're going to hold kanya, right?
Correct, 100%, right, correct. But who forced you to say it's gezel?
What if you're the house?
What?
What if you're the house?
If you're the house, yeah.
What if you're enabling the gambling? You can't say that you're not a Yeshuva Shalom because you're technically running a business, but would it be a smachta? And first of all, are you allowed in general to
If you're the house, you're playing the game. So it's.
maybe not you directly, but also it's not really.
You're saying it's not.
If you're the house.
You're saying it's not my money. It's not my money.
Maybe it's not your money. Maybe you have people working for you. It's not really at risk if you're the house.
I'm playing with someone else's money.
Yeah, any of the three scenarios.
Right. So then you're over lifnei, but I don't think you would be over.
How is it not a risk if you're the house?
Come on. Statistics.
Yes, but
Because blackjack, they give a little bit of an edge. So all the time, eventually you're going to win.
it's still a risk.
Still, somebody does what you have to pay off.
But one second. But aren't I still? I'm still stealing his money. You're saying it's not going to my bank account, so right now by me playing. What am I doing? What am I doing? Let me ask you something. If I would ask you to go steal for me, and you put it in my bank account, right? Gezel v'nosan la'acher. So you do a gezel v'shina rishus. You did a ma'aseh gzeil.
What if you didn't hold that it was a smachta?
No, so then it depends if you have another job.
That's the job.
That's your job.
That's your job. That is your job. So then that would be totally on Abe's shaila. Abe asked it. Right. Abe asked this shaila a few weeks ago. What does it mean, Eini Sikko B'Yeshuva Shalom? Abe asked, what happens if you have Eini Sikko B'Yeshuva Shalom of a person who's never gambled before in his life? What is the issue of Eini Sikko B'Yeshuva Shalom? Is it an issue that you don't understand the way businesses work? Or is it the pshat, some Mefarshim wanted to say, you don't know what it means to work for a living. You don't know what it means to wake up early. You don't know what it means to be made about mumminess. But if a person's doing it for a job, it could depend on that child.
The definition of a job might have to be that it's a kosher job. That your job isn't stealing from people. Mafia, is that your job? Is that a kosher job? No.
I hear. That's a good hour. Right, yeah, I hear. But I have to wake up early. And I have a boss. It's a good hour. Okay, good. Weiter. Let's go weiter in the Gemara. So now the Gemara has a brisa. In addition to the Mishnah, they were moisif psulim that were not listed in the Mishnah. Hoisifu lein hagazlonin v'achamsonim v'achamsonim. So the Gemara says, so we'll get to chamsonim in a second. The Gemara says, Rabbi says, Akasha that should bother you. Hoisifu aleim hagazlonim? Hoisifu aleim hagazlonim? Gazlan d'oreisu. A gazlan is a psul min ha-Torah, which, by the way, should be a raya. I never saw anyone make this ha'ara, but should be a raya that the Taisus that said that all the psul in our Mishnah is derabanan. Now this makes sense that the Gemara is asking, that can't be a hoisifu, it's d'oraisa. It's a psul d'oraisa. So how do you say that hoisifu gazlan? So Gemara says, lo nitzruchu elo lemetzias cheres shaita v'katan. So the Gemara says, no, we're talking about a case where it's not gzela min atayra. Why is it not gzela min atayra? It's a mitzia of a cheres shaita v'katan. They don't have kinyanim min atayra. They can't own things. So Gemara says, savar mitzias cheres shaita v'katan leishlicha inami mipnei darkei shalom ba'alma. So Gemara says, either it would never be included. Why? They didn't originally passel it even midrabanan. Only later on hosifu. Why? Because originally they just thought it wasn't common. Who's going to steal? Who's going to rip off a child? You know, that takes a real sick person to rip off a child's kinyanim. And then the Gemara gives a second answer. No, inami mipnei darkei shalom. Rather, the Gemara says inami mipnei darkei shalom. That the Gemara didn't originally think that it would be possible because it's only mishum darkei shalom. So kamash malon that they were machadish that even darkei shalom, even just to keep normal civil rest and make sure that the people are going to get along and that people aren't going to be ripping off ketanim, even though it's not technically gezel, that would be that's also being possible. So Taisus has a great kasha. Taisus says, "Hinami mipnei darkei shalom." The chiddush of the brisa of Hosifu that what chereshet v'katan is that even darkei shalom is possible. Is even people who are not doing things to keep it peaceful and calm. Tema lemanda amar mafricha yonim ara imkein meikara nami psulim mipnei darkei shalom. You knew already darkei shalom because you're not stealing when it came to ara, when it came to attracting the birds. And the Gemara said what? That's pasal le'edus. So what do you need a chiddush that what? Darkei shalom is also pasal le'edus when it comes to mitzias chereshet v'katan. It shouldn't be a mitzias chereshet v'katan. You already know this from what? From ara, from africha yonim. That's Taisus kasha. So it says you're right. In a chanami. Yishlomer dahada amrina mipnei darkei shalom kaya alish the takmina yoynach liyoyin. The Gemara that holds here that we were meisif what? We were meisif a chiddush that even darkei shalom mitzias chereshet v'katan is also aser. That was only according to the Manda Amr that held mafricha yonim was what? Was racist, was gambling. He didn't know about darkei shalom dikapsulim. So how do you know about darkei shalom dikapsulim? That was what is chadish in this brisa that even stealing from a chereshet v'katan is aser. Rabbi said just quickly before we get to this meiri. Why does it say mitzias chereshet v'katan? My daughter asked me last week on Friday night. She asked me, Abba, when I babysit, is that my money? Abba, when I babysit, if it's no gay, and when I babysit, is that my money? So there's a fascinating Taisus in Sanhedrin. Taisus in Sanhedrin writes that the Gemara. Taisus in Sanhedrin and Samaches writes that the Gemara talks about a ger she'ein bo yorshim. The Gemara talks about a situation where the kohanim in Parshas Naso, the kohanim get the money of gezel ager. So the Gemara says, why do the kohanim get it? It's talking about a ger she'ein lo yorshim. The Gemara says, mi ika ger she'ein lo yorshim. Who's a person that doesn't? So the Gemara says, a ger that doesn't have any children from him. The Gemara talks about it's talking about a child that was a ger. So the Taisus writes there. You see that if the Torah is talking about it, it's a situation that a child could have money on a level d'oraisa. How could a child have money on a level d'oraisa? We hold kinyanim of a katan is only d'rabbanan, but the Torah is talking about a parsha of gezel ager. So Taisus says a chiddush, and the Ketzois HaChoshim paskins like this. Based on this Taisus, he says, Metzias chereshet v'katan. If they find a Metzia and they do a kinyan, but if they do schar pe'ula, they shovel the snow, they do babysitting, they work for what they, there's a good musar for children. If they work, that's a kinyan min HaTorah, and that's what the parsha of Gezel Ager was talking about. And by the way, that the Chassam Sofer asked Akasha. He says, we don't find a mucker in the Torah for ger sheniskayer kekatan shenolodam. There's no mucker in the Torah for. He says the only mucker in the Torah, he thinks that the only source there is that parsha. a ger she'in lo yorshim. How do you know that a ger doesn't have any yorshim? It's a raya that it must be that once he's in this guy here, he doesn't have any krivim. That's the makar min HaTorah for ger she'in guy katan shenol adami. But Taisus is assuming that there's a parsha of a katan that has actually money in HaTorah. How is it? So that the answer is schar pe'ula. He worked for what he. So that's why the Gemara has to say mitzias. The katan's mitzia is only derabanan, and therefore that's going to be the case where it's going to be only derabanan. So Taisus again, back to Taisus kasha. Didn't the Gemara already know Darkei Shalom already from Africha Yonim according to the man Damar Ara? So look at this Meira, unbelievable Meiri. It's in the second paragraph in the Meiri. Mitzias chereshat of katan yesh be'em gezem epnei Darkei Shalom. We call him any yotze b'dayanim k'moshe b'iranim b'rishon shal mitzia v'afal pikrein agozel pasal edis. V'shema toimar ma hutzrich bala talmud l'bneise b'toisefes. Why did the Tana have to be meisif this? Hari haisa b'chlal mafricha yonim. Meir is asking the same kasha as Taisus. We already know this according to the mandar mafricha yonim is ara. L'dasa mafarish ara she'ein shem gezel of b'nei darkei shalom k'moshe b'yarnu. So we already know gezel of darkei shalom from the case of ara. Shema yinu mechalkim b'neim. Listen to what the Meiri says. Mitzad semetzias cherish ein bo darkei shalom mitzad anigzel ella mitzad kroivav. Listen to what the Meiri is saying. He doesn't go with Taisus Malach. Taisus kvetches. Taisus says our Gemara could only be going according to what the other man, the Omer that said Mafricha Yenim was racist, like Masachet B'Kuvya, like gambling. But you're right. If it was Mipnei Darkei Shalom, we equate both, and if once we know one, we know the other. Says the Meiri, not true. Not true. This is a different type of Darkei Shalom. This is a different type of keeping the peace. What do you mean it's a different type? Who are you concerned about over here? I'm concerned about what? I'm concerned about his kroivim. I'm concerned about his family, the fact that they're losing out. But who am I not concerned about? What's the Meiri saying? You are not stealing from who? From the nigzal. From the child. There is no nigzal over here. Why? Bishlama, when there's a nigzal, when there's someone who actually is losing the money, who had actually a kinyan on the money, so then that's similar to gzela. So that's the case of ara. That's a case where I'm trying to convince all of the zoo, all of the animals to leave this guy's property. He owned this property. But by mitzias cheresh shoyta v'katan, it's mamish, not a gzela. Why is it not a gzela? It's a totally different takana of Darkei Shalom. Why? Because there's no one who possessed this item. We view it as if the katan doesn't own it. And it's not even similar to gezel at all. Because by gezel, by definition, you have to remove the ownership on the item. And you're not removing that because the cheresh of a katan never had it in the first place. So listen to this diak, Rabbi Say. Listen to this diak. Rav Pavarsky said that this Meiri, he thinks, is beferish in the Rambam and in Shulchan Aruch. Why? Listen to this. Look at the sheets over here. The Rambam writes in Perek Zayin of Hilchos Gzela. Halacha Zayin. You have it? Dvarim harbi osru chachom mipnei shum gezel. There were rabbinic dipik gzelim. Va'over oleim harei gazlan midivreim. It's a gazlan midrabanan. What's an example? Kegoyim mafricha yoinim va'mesachi bekuvya. So the Gemara says mafricha yoinim. What do you do? So you're doing all these things. Good, fine, and you're trying to convince them to come. Good. That's the Rambam Halacha Zayin. What did the Rambam not say, Rabbi Say? What did the Rambam leave out? What? Gezel from a Matzias Cheresh of a Katan. Says the Rambam not until Halacha Yud Zayin. The Rambam Halacha Yud Zayin in Hilchos Gzela Halacha Perek Yud Zayin, 10 prokim later, Halacha Yud Beis. Mitzias Cheresh of a Katan Yesh Bo Gezel Mipnei Darkei Shalom. What do you mean? You just introduced me Gezel Mipnei Darkei Shalom by Mafricha Yoinim. Why didn't you list that? Why didn't you list that in that original halacha in Perek Zayin of Dvarim Elu Osru Chachom Mishum Gezel Midrabanan? You know what the pshat is, Rabbi Say? Because there's two types of Gezel Midrabanan Midarkei Shalom. One is a Gezel that's a real Ke'ain, a Deraisa of Gezel, because there's a Nigzal, there's someone who actually owns the money that's losing possession on his item. And then there was a later halacha in Perek Zayin that's taking that, you know what, this isn't right. Even though it doesn't shmek of gzela, even though it's really not patterned after classic Zela. Why? Because there's something essential missing. The fact that these children never owned these items, because it was a mitzias chereshet of a katan. Afal piche, in a later takana mipnei darkei shalom, they said that's also going to be something that's going to be gezel. But you see that the takana was not the same. That's exactly the way the Meiri is answering Taisis Kasha. I wouldn't have known the din of Metziris Chereshet of a Katan from the halacha of Ara, because they're fundamentally different. One is a gezel that actually is patterned after classic gezel, that there's removal of property from the nigzal, and one is what is really not removal of property from the nigzal. There really is no ownership, and still Chachamim decided later on to say that that's also going to be also. And the emes is, you look in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Lamed Daled, Shulchan Aruch also splits the two together. Puts Mafricha Yonim with Masachet B'Kuvya, and then it only puts later, a later takana of the takana of Metzias Chereshet of a Katan. Sounds exactly like the way the Meiri is saying that I wouldn't have known one from the other, and the Gemara reads like a charm, not like Tosfos that has to say, this Gemara is only going to this day and it's not going to the other day. No, they're two separate takanas, and you wouldn't intuitively known one from the other, because one is fundamentally not gezel, because there is no nigzal.